Hey, we're having a short discussion and we'll start the thing on contraception soon. And if you're watching this later, you can just rewind or fast forward through this.
We're doing unimportant chatter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's good thing we're recording it. We're missing so many people.
Okay.
Misses.
Okay.
Brandon, Seth, Elijah, Shannon.
So this is ready and it is recording.
Okay.
So when you stand here and see, I guess.
Hey.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Are you gonna work different?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay. No, you. Strings on Fridays. No, or you just move on.
Okay.
You know, whatever.
Okay, I have no idea why Carl asked this question. It'd be a good speech example. Now I have to segue this topic into this. I said, what? How are you going to make that fit? He goes, it's your job, communications major. It's like, whatever. Okay, some top hits. Let's hear them. Yell them out. Things you loved.
Chocolate.
Always. Duh.
Ice cream.
Uh-huh.
Pizza.
Pizza. Okay, it's more fun. What things did you hate as a kid? What?
I don't like potatoes.
What was it?
I've never liked potatoes.
I heard potatoes being in
Yeah.
any form.
I like fries. Because they don't really.
Anything fried is good. Now that Carl's giving me food to feed you like seals.
That's right. That's right. Okay, I'll be back soon.
He just did this to wake you up. It's so nice to see your lovely faces and your lovely eyes during all this. Anybody else have something weird? Was that Alexa?
Mushrooms?
Yeah, right. They're weird. They don't have a flavor to me. They're just got a weird texture, so I just pick them up. Still. Were you the kid who just ate corn and chicken nuggets and that was it? One of those? Yeah. See, I did this to Carlo. To be fair, I said, Carl, how would you answer that? And he went, oh. He's always coming up with stuff for you guys. I said, how would you answer it? And he was, oh, yeah. All righty. Well, once again, I'd like to apologize for the picture. You asked, I'm going to stand over here because I'm running the PowerPoint. And because we're recording it, because Seth is on the road and I don't know where everybody else is, but they'll have to pay for it later. Don't you hate this? Okay. Feel free to ask questions. If I'd loved you, which I kind of do, I meant to look at the quiz. Normally the quiz, which will be Wednesday, is over the PowerPoint. Once again, we'll post the PowerPoint. If I say anything that's not on the PowerPoint, you might want to jot that down. Yes,
Is the quiz in person in class?
yes, for once. Finally, we're having a real quiz. You don't just get 34 points for being cute like you did last time. I like this and I like this. Okay, 34 points. Yeah. Tyler, do you have a question?
Yeah, Wednesday I won't be here. We're traveling again.
34 points just for you. No, we'll take care of it.
All right.
So when you have questions along the way, feel free to ask them. I may be getting to that later, but that's fine. Or as you all do, feel free to text me, write me questions. I have so many things up here. This is just to help you on these discussions you might be having with people. And this is why the rates of effectiveness of contraceptions and the terms are different, because we don't always know what the terms mean. Safe sex is the term used, what you're used to. Safer sex is used in my industry, how to make it safer. There's no such thing as safe sex unless you're in a monogamous, uninfected relationship. That's it. Because as you've already read, the failure rate for all the contraceptives, and remember, contraceptives were invented to stop sperm, not STIs. They were not designed to stop STIs. 1-ish 0.5 of them do, the rest of them don't at all. So a lot of times people talk about safe sex, they mean contraceptive, they mean making babies. You can only make babies 4 to 7 days a month when you can get an STI every day. So it's a really weird term that you're very familiar with. And doesn't it normally mean just use a condom or be on the pill? That's safe sex. That's usually what it means. They never talk about STIs. And when they talk about the epidemic of unplanned pregnancies and things like that, they never talk about the correlation of STIs along with that. We will a little bit today. But safer sex is when you're writing whenever you're writing the paper or making the presentation on this topic, feel free to call me. But this makes you look more intelligent, more well-read, and actually more accurate. The terms are sexual risk reduction, which is what you were taught in school. Those things. Use a contraception, know your partner's history as much as they're willing to be truthful. That's cute. And be sober. So you can use these quite involved devices correctly. But sexual risk avoidance is what I taught in the schools was this. So once again, it just makes you look more intelligent if you're you're doing a debate with somebody or writing a paper. Don't rely on the terms you were taught in school. Try to always go more scientific. A little research will get you right there. All right, contraception by use from 1994 to the present. The top one is the world. They have an increase in their contraception use, decrease in North America, increase, decrease in Oceania, which is New Zealand, Australia area, and then Africa, huge increase. There's a whole political reason about these numbers here. It's just to let you know that we've finally gotten the World Health Organization is doing a great job on getting contraceptions to third world countries. That's why the African has such a huge increase. Now, we can talk about the morality of that later. Well, we will today, but this is just the facts that this woman does not need to have her 15th child when she has no husband and they have to carry water and they live in a 5x5 hut. What can the World Health Organization do to keep her from having her 15th child? That's why the increase. The decrease in America. Yeah, we'll talk about that. That'd be a fun political conversation. Pregnancy basics. There they are. Threw that in for New Hampshire, just a little dichotomy. New Hampshire only has 22 out of 1,000 teen pregnancy rates, and DC has 67. A lot of that has to do with income level, education level. The higher the income and the higher the education, the less likely there is an unintended pregnancy, and access to contraception, which is higher in New England, easier. It's more likely to be handed out in schools, more likely to have parents who provide them on your 16th birthday, things like that. It's a different culture in New England than down here in the Bible Belt, where we can't even say sex, as we've already discovered. But look at this, a huge decline in pregnancies. And by this, it's teen pregnancies. They consider teen anywhere at the ages between 15 and 19, or sometimes 15 and 24. You'll always have to watch for that. They use that term interchangeably because the average marrying age for women is 25 and 26 for men. So they still consider you a teen if you're under the age of 24. So you have to watch for that on the CDC, how they'll use those ages interchangeably. In 1980, we hit our peak of unplanned teen pregnancy. You'd think it was the 60s or the 70s, but it was the early 80s. And about that time, they started teaching, I hate the term, but it'll resonate with you, abstinence education in the schools. Became, I did it for 15 years. I never called it that. They started teaching and the decline started. Has something to do with real facts, real information, not just about this body part, but this one and this one. That's what we taught. So I really felt like my program was truly comprehensive. Even though they called it abstinence education and comprehensive sex education. Comprehensive, they meant here's condoms, how to use them, welcome, and they threw them out in the classroom. And then abstinence was, as we know, no. If you watch it on SNL or Family Guy, it's like tie your legs together until you're married, that they would make anything to make a joke. But really, we talked about the emotion. We spent out 10 days, we'd spend 2 days on plumbing. Tab A and slot B, 2 days. The rest of the 8 days are on your self-esteem and how you making good decisions, being scientifically aware of what's out there when it comes to the STIs and the contraception. So we spent 8 days talking about this body part and this one, and only 2 days talking about this one in our program. And so that beginning, plus also the millennial generation, well, it's probably still true for you Zers too. There are still, I think I said this earlier, there are more virgins as seniors in high school and college freshmen than we've had in the past. It keeps maintaining or actually growing because your generation is going, I have too many plans to accidentally get this. I have too many, I'm not going to believe all the rom-coms. I'm going to use my brain. I thank you for the science, which a lot of you have said you wanted a scientific approach to prove the poetry of the Bible. Put with science, they go beautifully together. But the science is out there and it's being taught, and people are going, no, I don't trust any of these devices, as you saw in the book. And I was really surprised still how many in this class are only talking about HIV. It's not your fault, it's your school's fault. And it had been getting better. It's just I have a clump of you here who didn't get the classic chlamydia, herpes conversation at school, but once again, not your fault. All right, that's what we're going to talk about today, all the different types and then the methods in which they are used. And here's the big boy, and you'll enjoy having this one in on your slide to look at home. The most of it, I'm leaving you. The most effective is the implant, and see what size it is, about the size of a wooden matchstick. And it goes right here. Your book referred to it as Norplant. That was the original one. Like we call them Kleenexes, but they're really facial tissues. They're facial tissue. Kleenex is a brand, but it hooked, right? That's what it calls them. So Norplant was the first one. In fact, they used to put in 4, and now they put in 1. They're extremely effective, extremely easy to get in and get out. You can't do it. A medical person has to do it. When they first came out, it was easy to put in and kind of difficult to get out. People were good at the device to put it in. My daughter has one. She has 2 full sleeves, tats, and she has Totoros over here. Over here is the dinosaur in space. She's an art major. So she kind of incorporated it in her artwork. If you look for it, you can see it, but not normally. It's just this long. It's a wooden matchstick, and it goes right there, and it works 5 years. She doesn't have to do anything. She's an accountant. She's a CFO. She is organized. So she's the type who could take a pill every day. There's those who can't, who cannot remember to do that, but that just works really well for her. And equal is the IUD. It's about the size of a quarter. I wish they showed that in the book. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Equally very effective. Your grandma is going to freak if you talk about IUD, because the Dalcon shield is mentioned in this book, and that's in the 60s when they would fall out. They don't fall out anymore, ever. They perforate the uterus. A baby would be born with one here. So they took it off the market for 15, 20 years. And it's just now back. Well, it's been back for 10 or 15. But extremely effective. Military and missionaries use these. Military and missionaries. People who can't run down to Walgreens for a refill or go to urgent care. That's who uses those the most often. I'm going to be in Africa. I'm not coming home for 3 years. And this will work for 8. I really don't need to have children right now. I'm on the mission field or I'm in the military. So those are very common, very widely used here on campus. I mean, by our married people. Then we have the vasectomy and the female tube tying. It's a weird term, but what they do now is they used to just tie it, the vas deferens or the fallopian tubes, just tie them with surgical suture stuff, but it would dissolve or the little guys would get through. So now what they do is cut it, separate it, and cauterize the ends, seal it, hot wax. That's not what they do. Glue gun, no, they cauterize it, and there's a separation. So if one opens, they might just float around. It won't necessarily go in the other one. So it is rare, but I do have the friend, Pete Box. Now let's talk about him. I think I mentioned him before. He had the 19-year-old daughter, the 18-year-old son, and the 17-year-old vasectomy, and his wife was pregnant. He's like, honey, I trust you, I love you, but He went to the urologist and he had sperm. It had grown back together. Both ends of his vas deferens had opened, healed, and grown. I mean, sci-fi. It's like he made medical journal. Like he always said, you want to be famous, but not in a medical journal. So my youngest daughter wasn't married yet, and I'm talking Pete. He has to call me. Everyone with the sex situation has to call me. I just appreciate that so much when my deacons have to call me and talk about things. Yeah, that was sarcastic. I said, because of you, there are people around the nation no longer having sex. I said loudly to the phone, and my daughter walks by and goes, "Oh, you're talking to Pete Box?" Because she knew, because everybody in church knew, because he was pretty full. His wife's very pregnant. It's one of those oops babies. I mean, there's a 16-year difference between. But he had kind of the old school kind. And like your book said, none of them are 100%, but that's still by far the safest. Top row. Next, we have the depot shot, 6% failure rate. We'll talk about what those failure rates mean. Then the pill, the patch, the ring, all use the same type of drug, just a different delivery system. The diaphragm. Yeah, you haven't heard of it because no one's using it except your grandma. But if you go to the Caribbean, you go to places in South America, you go to places in Russia and Africa, you will run into people who are using it. So if you're in the mission field, you need to know about these. They're still using them. They're not the 12%. That's kind of gracious. They're awkward. It's like, I used to kind of have a fake one. It's a large balloon with a rim on it. It's what it kind of looks like. You put spermicide in it, you fold it in half, you fold it in quarters, you insert it, and it rings the vagina and blocks the cervix that's full of spermicide. And you'd put it in way before sex and leave it in, as it said, for a couple of hours after. And then women would forget and get infections from Satan because they forget to take it out. And it's just a mess. And it can be bumped and dislodged during sex. And it was just a mess. Remember the day I'm trying to borrow socks from my mom, and I open up her drawer and find this huge compact case, looks like for powder, and I open it up and there it is, and I didn't know what that was. Yeah, horrifying. Male condom, yes, I brought a female condom. This is a day you'll remember forever. Withdrawal method, which is the I love you method or trust me method, which is the stupidest thing ever. Sponge, they no longer use in America at all because people would forget and leave it in infections. And then we have fertility awareness and spermicide, which isn't all that common anymore either. But once again, if you go to other cultures, you will run into these. All right, hormonal. Here's how it works. Maybe you won't ovulate. No egg. And it also thins the lining of the uterus, and it thickens the mucus so the swimmers have a harder time going upstream. It does all three. Females only. Like we're going to trust a guy to take his pill every day anyway. We love you. I'm not into man slamming. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Taken by mouth. Most commonly, there are 21 pills. Each one has a variance of hormones between estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. It balances. Each one is a little bit different. Then there's 7 fake pills just so you won't get out of the habit of taking it. That's it. Placebos. That's what they call them, but just so you don't get out of the habit of taking it. A lot of people on campus take birth control pills for acne and cramps, and I can't go to class, I'm bleeding so much. It really reduces those a whole lot. Very, very helpful. They don't do it so much now, but 20 years ago, you'd go to the doctor for cramps and he'd put you on low dose birth control pill. It wouldn't stop you from ovulating as much, but it kept your uterine lining from building up. And they would tell, Mom, I have cramps, I need to be on the pill. And then they ended up getting pregnant because they thought they were on the pill, but they told their doctor they needed it for heavy menstrual flow. They were using it for contraception. So it's good to always be really honest with your doctor. Of course, when you're underage, your mama is in the room with you. But now, no matter how old you are, I would take my daughter for tonsillitis, whatever, and the doctor would go, ask me to leave the room so he could discuss if she had any other questions. After a while, they go, oh, it's you, Shannon. So I should probably ask your daughter questions to see, because I have questions. It was one of those kind of jokes. But that's how it's supposed to be, ladies. When you're underage, the doctor is, and for guys, but a lot of times the mom doesn't go with you. She'll sit out in the waiting room. But moms will go in with their underage daughters, but they're supposed to ask the mother to leave the room in case the daughter has any questions. The patch is about let's see, smaller than this. This is my visual aids here. It's a little square. You put it on someplace tender, not on someplace where your skin is thicker. You put one on, after a week, you take it off, you put a new one. You do that three different weeks. And the fourth week, you just don't put one on. It's like a Band-Aid, bigger, dispenses the same hormones as the pill. That's it. So you don't have to think about it once, but you don't have to think about it on Saturdays when you wash your sheets. Also change that. And the vaginal ring is really weird. Also, in the 80s, had the jelly bracelets. Once again, it's this big, you fold it in half, you fold it in quarters, you insert it in the vagina. It doesn't make that noise, but it'd be good if it did, if it was in place. Dun, da, da, and it goes the edge of the vagina, right by the cervix, and it slowly sends out the hormones. But every week you have to take it out. I am very comfortable with my body, but I ain't doing this. Sorry, I have limits. So you have to take it out and put it back. You only use bad grammar when I'm really serious. You have to replace it every week for 3 weeks. Then you don't put one in the last week, just like the placebo pills, and then you have your period. And for women who are on birth control, one nice thing about it is exactly when your period's going to start. They always say start a new pack or start a new patch on a Sunday. Nothing holy about that. It's just that the 4th Tuesday from then, your period will start. You don't take a pill on Sunday. You don't take one on Monday. You don't take one on Tuesday. Sometime that day, your period will start. So it's great for planning for your wedding. Your doctor, you go in at least 4 months before your wedding. And if you plan to use the pill, he or she will go, okay, when's your wedding date? Math. Okay, start these pills on a Tuesday, whatever. And I guarantee you will not be on your period on your honeymoon or during the wedding. They work the same way, all of them do. Maybe you won't ovulate. Thickens the mucus, thins the lining. Every brand's a little different, but they basically do the same thing. One reason to go early, maybe even before 4 months, is there's so many different brands out there, and you take it for a week or so and you go, I feel funky, and they switch for you. They switch brands. They'll take your health history and choose one for you. Way back in the 60s when they first came out, they just gave you a whole bottle of them like vitamins. They were super strong and each one the exact same strength, which was so very bad. Now, they come in a packet with 32 of them in there. Each pill has a different level of, I had to wipe it off, of hormones in it. So it's much, much, much healthier than they used to be. Once again, grandma will freak out. Maybe just great grandma. Grandma probably knows. Typical use, 8 out of 100 septic-active women will get pregnant the first year. It's higher with teens because just got to take it at the same time every day. And here's my little extra. Both of my married daughters carried before she got the implant, they both carried their pills with them. And one daughter and husband's phone went off at 9:30 at night, and the other one went off at 10 because they took them at the exact same time. If you take them in the mornings, you're much more likely to get nauseous when you're first starting them. And you sleep in on Saturdays. And then you have a snow day. And then antibiotics should be taken the exact same time every day. You should wake up in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock and take that antibiotic. So you have complete coverage. We don't do that. We take them breakfast, lunch, dinner, evening, and then sleep for 12 hours. They're not as effective. That's my antibiotic story. Same thing fits with this. For people who are fertile myrtles, you miss one day. For some people, they will get pregnant. Your body's just dying to do that. So you got to take it the exact same time. That's a problem for teenagers. Exact same time every day. Now, if you're taking it for facial healing or for cramps, that doesn't matter as much. I'm talking about contraception. Side effects. Usually just at the first month, that usually goes away. All of that does. And some people have no side effects whatsoever. Barrier method. There's not commonly used today. Male condoms, they're designed to prevent semen from getting into the vagina before any genital to genital contact. Remember, Mr. Cowper gland can get you in trouble. Out of all the most common birth control methods, it has the highest failure rate. Then why do they hand them out at schools? Because their thought is something is better than nothing. A little something is better than nothing. Mathematically, I agree with that. Psychologically, we have too many people who go, I'm using condoms. I'll have no problems. Everything will be fine. They never talk about STIs, herpes, warts, grow lots of places that aren't covered by a condom. Lots of places. So they seldom ever talk about contraception, teen pregnancy reduction, and STI reduction at the same time. They never have that conversation. Because if she's on the pill and he uses a condom, the baby making is low. So let's have lots of sex and the STIs go high. At Choices Medical, we tried to deal with both of them. But in most schools, it's just keep her from getting pregnant, which can only happen 4 to 7 days a month. Much higher, it's the typical use now. Condom instructions. There's 6 how-to and 9 cautionary things. Small print. Has anyone ever read these? No. And it always is, wash your hands and genitalia. Condom instructions. And the first one and the last one is wash your hands and genitalia with soap and water. It's kind of like you go, hey, Susie, you got 30 minutes before curfew. Do you want to stop by Come and Go and wash our hands and genitalia and then go make out for 30 minutes? No, and Come and Go is just hysterical anyway. We won't even get there. You know that's the dumbest thing ever. When anyone comes here from around the nation, even around the world, comes to Life Choices for training, they go, Come and Go? Seriously? That's what we hate about men anyway. Sorry, loves, I keep pointing this way. Yeah, anyway. Thank you. I thought it was funny too. All right. So when it says the failure rate's 2 to 5%, that's in the laboratory. They take a penis-shaped metal device and rub it up against things and does it break? Only 2 to 5% of the time does that thing break. That's the failure rate. It's not human failure rate, which is 15% and higher for teens. You're supposed to make sure I'm surprised this moves. I've had this in the office forever. Supposed to make sure it moves around in there, hold it up to the light and make sure there's no holes in it. Oh yes, I went to high school with the guy who cleaned the bathrooms in the gas station because that's where you got your condoms. And he would clean the toilets and open up the condom things. All men's bathroom have condoms machines in them. Do they still? You guys don't pee in public? Come on. I go to the men's bathroom all the time because it's so gross, but the women's line is so much longer, with Carl. Anyway, he would open up the condom machine, take out all the quarters, take a stack of these, run a hat pin through them, stick them in there because he was just an ass. Because the guy you went to high school with. He thought that was funny. So you check it. You don't open it with scissors or your teeth. You have to make sure it unrolls correctly. You have to hold on to the base of it when a man removes his penis from the vaginal area, or it will stay in the vagina. Then you have to wash your hands and genitalia afterwards. Axe body spray, Bath and Body Works lotion, all those things eat away at this when you touch it to put it on. So that's why the failure rate is much higher at teenagers. They're not bothering to follow all those instructions. Should have brought my own water bottle here. I usually mess with somebody. I won't mess with your drink there. But they roll a certain direction. See, it rolls down. If you're not paying attention, you'll put it on the wrong way, and then it won't roll because the roll is tucked under. So it's called flippage. It's called flippage. I do care about you guys. I really do. So, it's not unrolling. So we'll take it off the penis and roll it down the other way. That means this top part has touched the top of the penis and the Cowper gland has done its thing. And there is sperm sitting right there on the launch pad. Pretty common. So we had a girl, Ozark student. She was 19. You have to be a little bit older now to work at Life Choices. But hey, that's not my hands. I'll wipe my hands on that. She was at Life Choices, gone through all the training, and she was the first time to answer the phone. I'm going to take that home and wash it, okay? Just quit judging me. I don't know why that just moved. I don't know what you're seeing now. Not my problem. Love you. Okay. First, Dayla, this Life Choices. This is Dayla. May I help you? We can't find it. Have I told you this story? She goes, excuse me? She goes, we can't find it. It's a little male voice. The deal was he had pulled out of her and the condom had disappeared. He hadn't held on to the base of it because he didn't. Hi, read the instructions. Okay, I have to go get Carl. And the battery's low. Wow, he set me up for failure. Okay, hold that thought. How does the story end? Hey, Carl. Oh, hi. I run out of juice and I lost the picture. Oh, okay.
All right.
So, how does the story end? So she, to the guy, she goes, well, just, we're all standing behind her laughing. We're all
Where's
dying. We know what's going on.
Okay. We'll
We
use
know what's
this.
going on, and it's
That's
not life
not-
or death.
That's not mine.
So we just let her answer this question. Well, yeah. Oh, you're so sweet. So this 19-year-old girl who's never had sex is talking to this young 15-year-old boy who she does not know and says, well, just reach up in. He goes, I'm not reaching up in there. He was just in there, but he won't do that. So we're writing her notes and she goes, may I speak to your girlfriend? No, that's all. Hi. She goes, hi, I'm so sorry. I'm so glad you called. Listen, maybe we could help. I would love to help. She goes, if you were just like go to the bathroom, and just reach up. I'm not reaching up in there. So we had to send him to urgent care. And he just went, really? $95. No, I don't know. He just, so that's why I'm going to point to the thing that's not there. The rate is higher among teenagers because they don't follow the instructions. Now make this happy.
Okay, we're working on it.
I wonder what comes next. Female condoms. So weird. So I taught at Lafayette House for years. It's a place in town for addicted women and abused women. It's like a safe house. And I would teach there, and they don't use correct terminology about anything. I learned, so I'm talking to all the women at Lafayette House, and behind me is all of my staff for Life Choices getting ready to do STI testing when we're done. I'm doing the quick education. And I'll have to keep a straight face because the slang terms and the things they will say in class, and behind them are people like you going, laughing, making faces like this. I'm going, interesting, yeah. So I would talk about a female condom. I have no idea how it stays in place because does it come with Velcro strips or a staple gun? I have no idea. This is a female condom. First of all, they're not that common. We thought we could be empowered, but they're just inconvenient. A jelly bracelet, fold it in half, fold it in quarters, you insert it. And it sits at the top of the vagina. And who holds this part in place? I want little Velcro strips off to the side. But it's so odd. So actually the female has to hold, the female has to hold this in place. I'm always talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
No, a woman's vagina is not this big. Man, don't freak out. One year I forgot to tell the guys and they were so devastated. I'm so funny. But they're really not convenient. I mean, the female has to kind of hold this in place with her hand. So yeah, they're out there. It was a good idea-ish, but usage is not good. You want to close the door?
I don't know.
Condoms are pretty decent for HIV transmission. 85% of the time, it will protect you from sperm. 85% of the time, it will protect you from HIV transmission, which is pretty impressive. But it's lousy. It's 50-50 for chlamydia, gonorrhea, things that are liquid-based. And then who knows about things that are touch-based, a syphilis, chancre, warts, herpes. I would say something like, it said I always start with technical terms. It said a man's scrotum is touching your perineum during sex. They go, huh? And then I finally said, his balls are bouncing on your fun bridge. They went, oh, yeah. I'm bilingual, I can use it. I said, unless he's going to wear a condom across his scrotum, my man likes it when you squeeze his balls like that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then all of my friends in the back going, woo, whoa, Shannon, just keep a straight face, keep a straight face. But unless you're going to wear a full body condom, they're not going to protect you. I mean, head to toe, they're not going to protect you from some of these STIs. Now, here's what I would tell the women at Lafayette House. I said, if you're going to have sex, please, 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 please use a condom. Please. But also, please, please, please realize it is not going to protect you from everything. It is not the cure-all. It's not safe sex. It is not the thing. And here comes the big controversy, which we have time this semester, we'll discuss this, about why the United States pregnancy rate is so high, because we're full of a bunch of Catholics and Protestants who aren't going to hand out contraception, because we're not going to encourage sex. But yet we have epidemic of teen pregnancy where other nations don't. And honestly, I don't have an answer for that. But I'm just saying no other industrialized nation has the teen pregnancy rate that we do, because they have universal health care and they just hand out condoms and pills when you're 14. So their baby rate is exceedingly low.
And our baby rate has come down.
It's come down.
Right.
But their STI rate's off the chart.
Right.
Just thought I'd mention that. You will never see that in the same article. You have to do separate. You have to go to the Netherlands and look at their teen pregnancy rate and then find another article to find their STI rates. Okay. So when you have this argument with people, road trip discussion, which I adore, why don't we as Christians, we damn them if they have an abortion and we damn them if they come to church pregnant, but we won't help them not do either one of those things by handing out contraception. Big hot topic, fun topic in Bible class, not our class. Okay. Don't use them consistently every time. You're going to use a condom, you use it every time, and then using them correctly. Another thing is we're talking about flippage, shippage. They're supposed to be kept, if you read the box, it was a certain range of temperature, but yet they're shipped across all condom manufacturers are on the east of the Mississippi. So they make them there and put them in semis and ship them across to Walmart and Walgreens, to Arizona, or even to Missouri, right? And they sit in dry dock 3 days, 3 weeks, waiting to be offloaded. And it's July, and you open up the back of it, and the heat just pours out. And you take out a box of condoms, and you open it up with a knife, and you open it, and you take out the little box that it says store at room temperature. So they're already kind of weakened before we even get on the shelves. We ship our beer better than we do our condoms because they keep them refrigerated. Preach it. And then I used to tell when I worked at Southern, I said, boys, you've had a condom in your wallet since 9th grade. It's time to get a fresh one. The heat of your body wears them out. Keep them in your glove compartment of your car is not good. The heat and the cold. Now, Lindsay, you're supposed to go, I'm offended, and walk out. You know the rule. We already talked about this. But she won't do it. I think she left my speech class one time and I was trying to do her to go, well, but she wouldn't do it. So I had a boy ask me, well, Mrs. Wimp, I can't keep my condoms in the car or my wallet. Where do I keep it? I said, on the shelf at Walmart. Did you remember your gym clothes today or your lunch money? No, then you don't need to be using one of these. We get close in class, so. And they're in 9th grade, so I can say anything I want. All right. They don't cover, they can slip or break. We've covered that. Why don't they make them thicker? Well, the guy wouldn't enjoy it. He wouldn't feel anything, and a woman would feel too much. And we do not double bag it, my beloveds. We never double bag. In case you ever wonder what they're talking about that. If one condom's good, 2 masks are good. 2 masks are good. 2 condoms are not good because they rub against each other and they're more likely to tear and break. This is the depot shot. Even my medical people have a hard time pronouncing it. You get a shot. It's good for, once again, for the women. Man, you don't have to do any of this stuff. You get one every 12 weeks. Every 12 weeks. It's used a lot in foster care. But I hate the fact is that they don't always ask them or even give them any input on this. It inhibits ovulation. It thickens the mucus. 3 out of 100 women will get pregnant. It's even rare for that to happen. There are some medications you can take. You're on the depot, and there's some antibiotics and things you can take that actually will interrupt with that. Also interrupt with the pill. That's why when you get your pills at Planned Parenthood and then you go to your doctor and get an antibiotic and he doesn't know you're on the pill. I've had friends who got pregnant because their doctors weren't taught. They didn't know everything that they were taking. So it's very important that whoever's giving you medicine knows everything else you are taking. Weight gain, huge, 5 to 25 pounds. And this is what I don't like about this in the foster care systems. They don't tell the girls that. They don't give them the option. They assume they're treat them like they're all dogs in heat and don't even tell them what's going to happen to their body. Not everybody, but it's weight gain is the biggest problem with Depo. Okay, IUDs. It would go right here. Little T would go across here, and it goes about right there. And then a string hangs down. It doesn't hang all the way out, but it hangs down for a ways. It has to be medically inserted and removed. It is not easy. They'll take rods of widening sizes and put them, they're lubricated to open the cervix, and then another one to open the cervix a little bit, enough to get this in, place it with an ultrasound, and then you're good for 5 to 8 years. Medical, missionary and military, huge with this. There's not at all the problems that there used to be about them. They're very, very effective.
Is the use going up?
Yes, it's huge. It used to be they didn't want you to do it under the age of 15 because your cervix isn't developed. We talked about that, but now we have doctors who will give it to 14-year-olds. And the medical community is really ambivalent about that. They really want you to wait till your early 20s when your cervix was completely formed. But other countries are doing it a lot. It is hugely going up. Side effects, once again, are usually at the beginning. This is rare. This is rare. A little bleeding in between periods initially. I'm not promoting any of these. Sometimes I'm just trying to counteract the myths. Let me throw this in there while I'm thinking of it. When you visit with your aunt or your girlfriends and they go, well, I use this. Find out why they use that. Did they do research, or are they going off myths and what they thought they knew? I mean, we trust people. We talk to our doctors. We talk to our other female friends. Find out the research they did, my engaged people who are trying to decide what they're going to use. Find out the research they did and do your own. It's pretty easy. A lot of you believed a lot of myths because that's what you've always heard, because that's what your mama thought and your grandma thought. And it might have been true then. It's not true now. Emergency contraception. If your condom breaks, they use this for rape victims. They use this for oops, hook up. I was drunk. There's a variety of reasons. If you are a responsible college girl, you should have EC, emergency contraception, in your medicine cabinet at all times. Planned Parenthood will tell you. You're an idiot if you don't. Carry extra pads in your purse, carry some Tylenol, a nail file, things you might need, a little extra cash hidden in your purse, and some emergency contraception. I mean, every intelligent female should do that. If you haven't heard that, you will. That was my sarcastic voice. Okay. Within 72 hours, if you haven't ovulated, if this hasn't popped out, it will stop ovulation. If you have ovulated, it will thicken everything. It is somewhat controversial. And let me tell you why. We're going to discuss this more when we talk about abortion on Wednesday. Medically speaking, you are not pregnant until it implants. Medically speaking. Because you could have a tubal pregnancy and the egg and the sperm meet here that cannot survive. It is not a viable pregnancy. As we know, it will burst the fallopian tube and you will die if it's not removed. Medically speaking, it has to implant and be in the uterine lining, and then you are pregnant. So what EC does is wipe all of this out. So if the egg comes out, and if the sperm gets there, when it rolls down, there is no place for it to grow. The farm is gone. The soil is eradicated. So this is where it gets controversial. Medically speaking, you could say life, new DNA cells, new DNA, everything is happening here, but it cannot grow there. It's like growing it in a petri dish. You're not really pregnant until it implants. So that's the big controversy about EC, emergency contraception. Nausea, overwhelming nausea and vomiting. So we had our first child, then we had a miscarriage. And then I thought I was pregnant again. And we were at a group doctor. So I went to a doctor who wasn't mine, and he yelled at me. And I'm not used to that for us trying to get pregnant so soon. No one told us a certain amount of time to wait for my uterus to be happy and healthy. So he gave me some pills, and I'm not stupid. And we still have a hard time figuring this out, why we did this. I took these pills. I didn't know what they were for. I'm very much more inquisitive. What he gave me was before EC was invented, really, 3 high-powered birth control pills, because that's really what EC kind of is. It's just overdosing on birth control pills. And I vomited out my nose. I'd never been so ill in my life for 2 days. Without my permission, without my knowledge, and I'd still hold ourselves totally responsible. I thought he was giving me something to help me in my somewhat early, perhaps belabored pregnancy. And he gave me something to abort it if I was pregnant. Can't wait to meet him in the afterlife. Okay. Yeah. But just knowing this is huge, the nausea and the vomiting. Failure rate. The closer to unprotected sex, the more likely it is to work. And quickly, it is totally different than the abortion pill. They are totally separate things. The abortion pill is, nope.
That's birth control.
Yep. Oh, that's all I'm going to talk about. I'm saving this to talk about on Wednesday. That's why I took all the information out. Thank you. Wow. The implants, we talked about that a little earlier. The withdrawal method is stupid. There's nothing in a man's body that says, I think I will leave this area and go do something else. Nothing in their psyche, in their body, in their brain, in their heart, and their genitals say, let's leave now. So they have to be good timing to actually withdraw before they ejaculate. Because of the Cowper gland, sperm has already been admitted a little bit. It's pretty common in high school for people to do this. I'm thinking it's going to work. I did go to school with a girl who never had vaginal sex and was pregnant. Clothes were off. They were messing around. He ejaculated. She just kind of wiped and she put on her clothes and went home. And 4 months later, could not deny that she was pregnant. Her older sister had 3 babies. She knew what pregnancy was. It's just that she was warm and moist and it was close enough, and those babies swim, and sperm can last 5 to 7 days. And once they hit the vaginal opening, it was warm and they just swam their way home. So her hymen was still in place and not been broken. She went to the abortion clinic and she went to her family doctor for an abortion, and he wouldn't do it because her hymen was still in place. She was still, medievally considered a virgin. It was just too much. So she went across the street to the abortion clinic to get aborted. And she was quite far along too, because I never had sex. Fertility awareness, just real quickly, hormone free. So there's appealing to that, but you have to attempt to predict a woman's fertile time immediately before, during, and after her ovulation. Don't have sex during that time. And some women, every 28 days, thank you very much. Every 32 days, thank you very much. And some of you are going, what? My period started again? What? Those people whose bodies decided to be all organized can do this. There's a very specific temperature reading device. Before you really wake up, before your body warms up, you take your temperature, you record it. You chart your cervical mucus, the stuff that falls out of your vagina. Is it cloudy? Is it clear? Is it stretchy? You take it to a woman who can read it for you. It's like reading tea leaves. No, but she teaches you how to read it. And she goes, it seems like you're ovulating here, so don't have sex during this time. Okay, now you're going to have sex again. It's used most often by people trying to get pregnant, trying to find out when they are fertile. But people whose bodies, when they have a princess body and they cannot use chemicals of any kind, and they understand condom failure rate, they may do both condoms and some version of this. The Catholics used to call it the rhythm method. That's not valid. That's just, okay, I probably had a period 14 days later, I'll be ovulating, then I'm not ovulating. It's just, no. Our bodies don't work that way. Very few women's bodies are that regular. So the more correct term is natural family planning. And spermicides, we don't have much of anymore. It's usually used as a lube that would kill sperm, but too many women were having negative reactions, and men too, to it. And you can look at this later. Choices and the options are changing. The withdrawal method is going up. I'm sorry, you're cutting me stupider. Now, IUD was 2%, now it's 14% from 2002 to 2017. So you can look at this later. Pill is going down and condom use is going down, but IUDs are going up and implants. Those are because they're more effective and you don't have to think about it. It's done. Done. Write me questions if you have them. Feel free to text or write them. We're going to talk about abortion gently and kindly on Wednesday. Once again, send your questions before. Feel free to ask questions during class as well. All right. We will post this in just a moment.
Cool.
Bye, guys. I'm so glad you're right there in front of me so I can use you as my person. Not so. I got this. Thank you.